In the history of the Islamic Golden Age, we often talk about poets, astronomers and kings. But in the laboratories of 9th century Baghdad and Rayy, there was a man who cared more about the data of the physical world than the dogmas of the past. While others were chasing the philosopher's stone to turn lead into gold, he was discovering sulfuric acid and ethanol. While others treated disease with charms, he was conducting the world's first clinical trials. His name was Abu Bakr Muhammad ibn Zakaria Al-Razi. To the West, he would be known as Rhazes, the greatest clinician of the Middle Ages, the father of pediatrics, and the man who proved that in the pursuit of truth, even the greatest authorities must be questioned. Welcome to Muslim Biographies, where we uncover the giants of Islamic history, whose contributions shaped our world. Our story begins in 865 CE in the city of Rayy, located in modern-day Iran. At the time, Rayy was a vital stop on the Great Silk Road, a cosmopolitan hub where ideas from China, India and the Mediterranean collided. Al-Razi didn't start his life in a laboratory. He started it with a lute. He was a skilled musician and a gifted vocalist, but as he reached his 30s, his curiosity shifted from the harmony of strings to the solid sciences of alchemy and philosophy. Al-Razi approached alchemy differently than his peers. He didn't care for the mystical or spiritual transmutation of the soul. He wanted to understand the properties of matter through rigorous experimentation. He was the first to classify substances into earthy, vegetable and animal, a precursor to the modern periodic table. But his dedication came at a physical price. Years spent over caustic chemical vapors and the intense heat of furnaces caused severe eye irritation and eventually cataracts. It was this personal health crisis that changed history. Seeking a cure for his own impending blindness, Al-Razi moved to Baghdad, the intellectual heart of the Abbasid Caliphate, to study medicine under the great Ali ibn Sahl al-Tabari. Al-Razi's brilliance eventually led him back to Rayy, where he was appointed director of the city's hospital. His reputation grew so large that he was summoned by the Caliph to Baghdad to oversee the construction of a new state-of-the-art facility. His method for choosing the hospital site remains one of the most famous stories in medical history. Instead of looking for political convenience, Al-Razi hung pieces of fresh meat in various districts of Baghdad. He waited for days, then inspected them. The area where the meat putrefied, the least he concluded, had the cleanest air and was the healthiest place for patients. Inside the hospital, he ran his wards with a revolutionary circle system. Junior students saw the patients first. If they couldn't diagnose the case, it went to the second circle of senior students. Only the most difficult, life-threatening cases reached Al-Razi himself. This ensured that the hospital was not just a place of healing, but a place of rigorous education. Al-Razi's greatest contribution to medicine was arguably his work on smallpox and measles. Before him, the world thought they were the same disease. Through meticulous bedside observation, Al-Razi became the first to differentiate them, noting that smallpox was characterized by severe back pain and distinct pustules, while measles was marked by high anxiety and a different rash. He didn't just observe, he tested. To see if bloodletting helped treat meningitis, he used a control group, treating one set of patients and leaving another untreated to compare the results. This is the bedrock of the modern scientific method. He also founded the field of pediatrics, writing the first book dedicated to children's diseases, treating them as unique patients rather than small adults. But Al-Razi was more than a doctor. He was a radical thinker who refused to take any ancient authority at their word. He famously wrote a book titled Doubts Concerning Galen. In the 9th century, criticizing the Greek physician Galen was an act of intellectual rebellion. Al-Razi argued that while Galen was a genius, he was still a human capable of error, and that new evidence must always trump old tradition. This spirit of defiance made him a polarizing figure. In philosophy, he proposed 5 eternal principles: God, the universal soul, matter, time, and space. Most controversially, he was a staunch rationalist who believed the human intellect was sufficient to understand the world without the need for religious intermediaries. These views earned him the title of The end of Al-Razi's life was marked by a tragic irony. The man who wrote the definitive texts on eye surgery eventually went totally blind. When a surgeon offered to operate on his cataracts, Al-Razi refused because the surgeon couldn't describe the anatomical layers of the eye. He famously said he had seen enough of the world and was content to spend his final days in contemplation. He passed away in 925 CE, leaving behind over 200 manuscripts. His massive encyclopedia, the Kitab al-Hawi, was translated into Latin and became the standard medical curriculum in Europe for over 500 years. Abu Bakr al-Razi was a man who stood at the crossroads of history. He took the inherited wisdom of the past and subjected it to the flame of clinical evidence. He taught us that while authority is powerful, reason is supreme. Every time a modern doctor takes a patient's history, or a scientist uses a control group, they are walking the path Al-Razi blazed in the hospitals of Baghdad over 1,000 years ago. If this gave you a new perspective on the history of science and the Islamic Golden Age, subscribe to Muslim Biographies. We uncover the forgotten giants whose contributions shaped our world, because history has the answers if you know where to look.